I'm going to solve this quadratic equation using completing the square. We've solved using a variety of methods, but this time we're going to complete the square. The first thing you should know is when you want to complete the square, the leading coefficient needs to be +1, and it's already +1x squared, so that's good. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we want to clear out some space. So I'm going to move this -29 over to the other side by adding 29. And now we have this. The next thing that you want to do is fill in the space. And you're going to need this formula to fill in the space, and it's b divided by 2 quantity squared. I'm going to highlight the b value. Remember, quadratics, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this particular problem, the b value is -12. I'm going to take -12 and divide it by 2. -12 divided by 2, then square it. So -12 divided by 2 is -6. And then -6 squared is 36. Normally I would just put a 36 right here, but just to keep my work organized for your notes, I'm gonna just say we have that space right there, and now we're gonna actually put in the 36. Keeping in mind, whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. So I'm gonna add 36 on the other side. Just a little bit of simplifying, -29 and 36. That ends up giving me 7. Okay, so now we've forced a perfect square. You can factor this any way you want. You have lots of methods to factoring. I'm going to show you a shortcut in a second, but if you were multiplying or factoring this, you would end up getting x minus 6 multiplied by x minus 6. They're identical, so that means that you have x minus 6 quantity squared. So we factored that. It's not a coincidence though. If you want to go from this line directly to this line, I put a set of parentheses with an x and squared. The number that you got before you squared it was -6, and that's -6. That's going to happen every time. Now, if you don't remember this shortcut, no big deal. You're going to factor it. You'll see it's a perfect square, and you can write it as a perfect square. Now that I've got my perfect square, I'm going to continue solving my equation. And so in solving, I want to get rid of squared. So I'm going to take the square root. Don't forget, when you do take the square root, that you get both positive and negative. So this is going to be positive and negative root 7, and then the square root frees up that x minus 6. We can create 2 separate equations, or we can just do it all at once. So I'm going to add 6 to get x by itself, but this is 6 plus the square root of 7 and 6 minus the square root of 7. You can write it as one piece, as shorthand notation. Otherwise, you can write them separately, 6 plus the square root of 7 and 6 minus the square root of 7.